You might think that a keto diet is the answer to finally losing weight and getting healthier. I hate to say it, but following a keto diet doesn't necessarily mean that you're guaranteed to lose weight. That's because there are some mistakes that are really easy to make, especially at the beginning. And if you make those mistakes, it can completely sabotage your weight loss goals. But when done right, a low-carb keto diet can be completely life-changing. To set you up for success, I'm going to be sharing the top 10 common mistakes that those who are new to the keto diet make, and how you can avoid making them so that you succeed. Before I started following a low-carb keto diet, my daily food intake looked a little like this. For breakfast, I would have porridge or oats with berries and maple syrup. That would keep me going until mid-morning when I would feel my first energy slump. And I would need some more carbs and sugar to keep me going. So around 10:30 a.m. or morning tea break, I would have a chocolate Afghan cookie and a mocha. Then for lunch, I'd have sushi or a filled salad roll with chicken and a granola bar. By mid-afternoon, I would be completely exhausted and literally feel like I couldn't keep my eyes open. So I needed some more sugar to get me going. Across the road from my work was a dairy, and I would go in and grab a couple of dollar lolly mixtures, and I would need at least a couple to get me through the afternoon. Then after work, I would have every intention of heading to the gym, but I would need something to give me some energy for my workout. So my go-to pre-workout snack was a couple of fresh Medjool dates filled with almond butter. Then after the gym, I'd head home, have a handful of potato chips, some chocolate biscuits, just something to snack on while I made dinner. Dinner would be pasta or rice with some veggies and some meat, a couple of more chocolate biscuits after dinner, and something to snack on late into the night. Normally popcorn, more chips, more lollies, maybe even just chocolate. When I look back at what I ate, I was fueling my body with carbs and sugar, also known as glucose. That is what my body was using as its energy source. And unless I constantly topped it up throughout the day, I would experience massive crashes and slumps in my energy. When I started following a keto diet, I removed all of the processed carbs and refined sugars from my diet. This was a bit of a shock to the system at first, especially because my body was so used to using those foods for energy. But because it was no longer getting the carbs and the sugar, it had to use another energy source to fuel my body. And that source was fat. The body has two main sources of energy it can use: carbs or fat. If you've been eating a diet that's high in carbs and sugar, then it's likely that your body too is going to have a little bit of an adjustment before it becomes fat adapted. Becoming fat adapted was the real game changer for me in finally losing weight. Fat adaptation is a term that refers to your body's ability to be able to convert fat to energy. When you're fat adapted, you don't need a constant stream of carbs, sugar, or glucose to keep you going. Instead, you're able to tap into your own body fat as a source of energy. This adaptation was a must for our ancestors. Our ancestors didn't have access to food 24/7 like we do now. During the leaner months, their fat mass kept them alive, which could sometimes be for weeks on end. If you're constantly switching between a high carb and a keto diet, you're not giving your body the chance to actually become fat adapted. You need to fully commit until your body becomes familiar with using fat as its primary source of energy. And then you can enjoy some keto breaks because now you're metabolically flexible. This is a big mistake people make when they're starting out. They constantly cheat or break from their keto diet. And by doing so, you're actually never allowing yourself to properly succeed. It may sound counterintuitive, but once you've put in that initial commitment at the start and stuck to a keto diet for 6 to 8 weeks, then having breaks is no big deal. Especially if they're just every now and then, because your body can then switch back into its fat adaptation mode and begin burning fat quickly again. Being fat adapted just means that you can easily access fat, whether that's dietary fat or stored body fat. A common goal for those who are beginning keto is to get in a natural state known as ketosis. Ketosis happens when you limit refined carbs and sugars. Being in dietary ketosis increases your ketone levels. This is exactly why you can check if you're in ketosis by doing a urine test, a blood test, or a breath test. My personal advice is to avoid the breath tests altogether because they're really inaccurate. The most accurate by far is the blood meter, but they're a bit of an investment. The blood ketone strips are expensive, and honestly, it's not a pleasant experience pricking yourself every day. That's why the urine test strips are a great place to start if you're wanting to check if you're in ketosis and you're starting out. But these will only work for the first few weeks of you beginning your keto lifestyle. In other words, if you've been following a keto diet for more than a couple of weeks, a keto strip may indicate that your urine only has a small amount or no ketone levels at all. This can mislead people into thinking that they're not in ketosis, which may not be the case at all. There's still a really affordable way in the beginning to check if you are in ketosis. But remember, don't get discouraged if they're not working after that. When I first began my keto journey almost 3 years ago, I thought that being in ketosis was the secret tool that I needed to actually lose weight and get results. There is so much information out there to suggest that ketosis automatically equals weight loss, but that's not the truth. Being in ketosis does not necessarily mean that you'll lose weight. And that's why my advice is to not stress about whether or not you are in ketosis. Instead, focus on becoming fat adapted because that will actually help you move further towards your goals. And there are no shortcuts to becoming fat adapted. It just takes time and commitment. Ketosis and fat adaptation are commonly lumped together, but they're not the same thing. Say, for example, you eat a standard American diet, which includes the typical things like carbs, sugars, a few fruits and veggies, and one day you see a billboard advertising exogenous ketones, a drink that promises to get you into ketosis and losing weight. So you buy some, and when it arrives, you down it. Your blood ketones rise and you're officially in ketosis. But you're not fat adapted, which means you're not burning your excess fat stored in your body as a source of fuel. That's why it's way more important to focus on the long-term goal of becoming fat adapted instead of just trying to be in ketosis. This is also a much more sustainable approach because once you are fat adapted, as I've shared, if you do have a meal off plan, it's okay. You can just jump back in and get things going again. When you first start following a low-carb keto diet, it is really likely that you will get into ketosis within a couple of days. But your body needs more than a couple of days to transfer over to being able to burn fat as fuel. And once it does this, you will then be able to experience true fat loss. People often attribute the weight loss, stable energy, and performance enhancements of a high-fat diet to ketones. But many of those benefits are actually due to fat adaptation. Any early weight loss is most likely from water due to glycogen depletion. Fat loss, however, won't commence until you're fat adapted. Fat adaptation also allows people to experience steady, sustained energy throughout the day. This is because they're not relying on sugar and carbs as an energy source to pump them up and keep them going throughout the day. My advice is to stay committed for at least 8 weeks, because this allows your body to undergo the changes that it needs. When you start to lose body fat, stop craving carbs and sugar, and you feel as though you have more energy throughout the day, then it's working. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Although it's the easiest that it's ever been to find keto food items on the go when you're out and about, if you're really serious about reaching your goals, you need to make a plan for what you're eating to make sure that you have food items on hand that support those goals. Taking 20 minutes at the start of the week to sit down and plan out your meals, including your breakfasts, lunches, dinners, will mean that your week will run so smoothly. Real talk, I am not here to you. My biggest pet peeve is when people are told they can eat whatever, whenever, as long as it's keto, and they will absolutely lose weight. That sounds way too good to be true, and honestly, it is, because it is simply not true. This lie can keep people stuck, unable to lose weight, and to move forward with their goals. That's because when you're trying to lose weight, it's critical to create a calorie deficit regardless of what lifestyle you're following. You can achieve a calorie deficit in a couple of ways. You can reduce the amount of calories that you're eating throughout the day, or you can increase your physical activity to burn more calories. If you switch to a low-carb keto diet and you don't watch what you're eating, then it's possible that you won't drop any weight. This is because many keto-friendly foods, including avocados, olive oil, full-fat dairy, nuts and seeds, are high in calories, so it's important not to overdo it. What's great about a low-carb keto diet, especially when it comes to maintaining a calorie deficit, is that most people feel more satisfied eating keto meals and snacks because they're high in protein and fat, and those things make you feel full and satisfied. If you want to know how many calories you should be aiming for to reach your goals, we have a keto macro and calorie calculator on my recipe app Welle Club. I'll leave a link to Welle Club in the description box below. We have a 7-day free trial so that you can create your account, set it up, and know exactly what you should be eating to get to those goals. There's a common misconception that eating too much protein triggers a metabolic response that spikes your blood sugar and kicks you out of ketosis. It's called gluconeogenesis, and contrary to some opinions, you don't have to worry about excess protein on a keto diet. Of all the macronutrients, protein is the most filling and satisfying, making overeating it quite hard to do. A common concern for those on the keto diet is that if you eat too much protein, the amino acids are automatically converted to glucose, and poof, you're no longer in ketosis or fat adapted anymore. But that isn't how our bodies work. Some of those amino acids are going to be used by your body for tissue repair, others for hormones, some for ketones, and yes, some will be turned to glucose. But this source of glucose actually supports glucose-dependent cells, and it keeps blood sugar levels stable. Gluconeogenesis isn't bad. In fact, it's completely natural and necessary while following a keto diet. What you probably don't know is that gluconeogenesis can actually help your body burn more calories. When you reduce your carbs, the increased gluconeogenesis actually helps your metabolism burn faster. Instead of stressing that you're getting too much protein, it's actually more likely that you're not getting enough. Remember, protein isn't to be feared while following a keto diet. The amino acids help with tissue repair, building and repairing muscles. Protein also helps keep you feeling full and can really help with weight loss. If you limit your protein intake too drastically, especially if you're a woman, you could experience stalled weight, thyroid issues, hair loss, and even hormonal imbalances. Make sure you're getting at least 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of your body weight, and up to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight if you're an athlete. Is there something wrong with you if the weight loss is taking longer than you thought? Absolutely not. Weight loss takes time, and that is the honest truth. Some companies who are marketing keto products suggest that the keto diet means that you will lose weight quickly, easily, overnight, and you'll be at your goals. But don't fall for this. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't put that pressure on yourself that you have to lose all of your weight in a couple of weeks. When you begin, be realistic with yourself and remind yourself that it's okay to go slowly. You're on your way and you're closer every day. In the early days of keto, especially while your body's adjusting, it is so common to have cravings. Those cravings can even just be based on your emotional attachment to certain foods. Make sure that you have keto-friendly options on hand to help you with those cravings. Don't deprive yourself. As your body transitions from burning carbs to fat, you might experience something known as the keto flu or flu-like symptoms. These can include muscle cramps, nausea, aches, and fatigue. And this commonly happens within the first couple of weeks of someone starting a keto diet. Not everyone experiences the keto flu, by the way. I didn't, and that was because I was super prepared and made sure that I had everything on hand to avoid any symptoms. But if you're not prepared for the keto flu and it does hit, you could think that something is drastically wrong with this lifestyle and give up altogether. With a little preparation, you can get yourself through the transition period. Because some people find that they have low energy during this time, try to meal prep ahead of time so that everything is ready for you. It's also really important to include a couple of key supplements into your routine that will help you immensely. And these are sodium, electrolytes, and magnesium. Also, make sure you're staying hydrated at all times to help ease any flu-like symptoms. My favorite way to add these supplements in are with a pre-made electrolyte powder. I just add in my pre-made electrolyte powder to water and some ice and sip on it as a drink throughout the day. I have up to 2 of these a day. I also make sure that I take a magnesium supplement. I just bought mine from the supermarket. And to make sure that I'm getting enough sodium, I add salt to every meal, and on days where I feel particularly lackluster, I'll have a bouillon cube or a stock cube and a cup of water, and I'll sip on it like a broth. I really love this particular stock cube because it reminds me of chicken noodle soup, just without the noodles, and it's also vegetarian friendly. Non-starchy vegetables have their place in a healthy, low-carb keto diet, and there is no reason why you should be avoiding them. Especially vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, bell pepper or capsicum, mushrooms, cabbage, lettuce, I could go on, and fruits like berries. These foods are really high in micronutrients and very low in carbs. Honestly, they're not going to affect your weight loss at all. So unless you have food sensitivities, which means you can't eat certain vegetables, include them in your diet and enjoy them, and do not stress about the carbs from them. Finally, instead of focusing on just restricting carbohydrates, approach your daily living with a holistic view. Make sure to get enough sleep, stay hydrated, reduce your stress wherever you can, and consume healthy whole foods. You'll be at your goals in no time. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!